Welcome back, and this is still TV3 New Day, and it's time now to have a one-on-one conversation with arguably one of the most talked about MPs in the country. His constituency was keenly contested. It was also of utmost interest to many Ghanaians, and especially the NDC, because we're all curious as to whether he would retain his title to represent the NDC in the 2024 elections, even though at the moment he is the MP for the Ningo Prampram constituency. And on that fateful day, he came out tops. Of course, there was quite a stretch in terms of votes between him and his closest contender. And we're going to have a conversation with him about that and many other issues that have come up as a result of that. But Honorable Sam Natejo joins us this morning, the MP for Ningo Prampram. Good morning.
Morning.
Dede. Have you rested a bit after?
Charlie, body and
It's not easy.
Body and panel bitani.
I know it's been a lot of work, but congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Months of what? Endless campaigning.
Yeah. 4 weeks. The first 4 weeks, 10 weeks in all. 4 weeks led by my team. I was stuck in Parliament because there was that caveat that we shouldn't step out of Parliament in the month of March. And then the last 6 weeks, myself on the ground, it was a daily grind. But I've got the most fantastic team. And they're just a blessing. Team Jata, Charlie, salute. Maximum respect.
Your confidence level was really high with regards to being so sure that you were going to win this election. I'll take you back to 2019 when the NDC primaries happened, and the gap between you and the same person who was contesting you this time around again, Michael Kweti, was just 7 votes. So a lot of people, and that's why I was saying that it was one of the constituencies that many people were looking forward to. Because if you look at the votes difference in 2019, I'm sure a lot of people were on tenterhooks wondering, is he going to close the gap even further? Would he win? Would he not win? But if you look at the number of votes that you even received this time around, knowing very well that the delegates had increased in number, it was quite a stretch. Even though you were so confident, was there a part of you that felt like there would be a close in the gap some way, somehow?
Absolutely not. You see, and it's a point I had made, but for whatever reason, a large part of the Ghanaian media chose not to drill down. I kept saying to people that you need to understand elections. And if you looked at the 2019 primaries, it's not because it's me, but I want to believe that 9.9% or 99.9% chance that any other person went into that primaries, they would have lost. Because the dynamics of that election were completely different. I was barely 2.5 years in office. I was carrying the baggage of the 2015 primaries and 2016 victory, and the backlash from the E.T. Mensah faction. I was also politically still new at the game and hadn't picked up all the nuances of a delegates election. That was my first delegates election. Because the 2015 primaries with Honorable E.T. was not delegates. It was a mass election. 16,000 people voted in it. And so there were things that I missed in the branch reorganization that came, and because, I mean, there were all those interests from the E.T. side and they had the experience. I basically had to claw and fight for each single vote. And I keep saying that as at 1 o'clock, I remember very well that fateful day in 2019, as at 1 o'clock, the EC said we should close the polls. Because nobody had come for almost 30 minutes. But I insisted and said no, because I had 10 people who were outside of the constituency who had indicated they were coming. We had sent transportation to them. They were on their way. And I knew they were coming to vote for me. If I had not fought for those 10 votes to arrive, the last person arrived at 4:35 and polls closed at 5. Those 10 votes came for me. I won by 7. Imagine if those 10 votes had not come out, I've lost by 3. You know, so we learned lessons from there. And we came into, but again, I kept saying to people that when you look at the 7 and you run with the 7 and say Sam George was unpopular, a year on in the general election, I won that election with a margin of 30,000 votes. You know, and I say to the glory of God that there are constituencies in the country, there are constituencies in Ghana where the entire voters register is less than 30,000. That's the margin with which you beat the MPP. So it tells you, it sends you the signal of my strength on the ground with the people. And that's what got manifested now. After 6 years, 6.5 years, almost 6.5 years in office, my footprints on the ground, getting in touch with the delegates, working with them, having a real revamp of our delegates, the constituent branch executives. Ebenezer, thus far the Lord has brought us, and all glory to God.
But not surprising, but your opponents kept making a number of accusations against you. We also saw accusations more from your camp against him as well. But let's talk about some of the things that he said. One of the things he said was that allegedly you had an LGBT friend who was funding your campaign underground. Was that true?
My opponent is one who's known to be a basket load of lies.
How?
There's no truth in his mouth. Everything he said about me has been a lie from the get-go. I mean, this is someone who said that I used the common fund to buy a Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
I mean, very unintelligent lies, to put it lightly. You know, and I know people say, oh, be magnanimous in victory. But you see, when people are damaging your reputation, attacking your person, attacking your family, wife and children who are not politicians, those who say you should be magnanimous in victory were deaf and dumb at that time. They weren't listening. They weren't hearing. They couldn't call those people to order. When people formulated and crafted wicked, evil lies, there was no magnanimity there. And they say it's politics. Politics is not dirty. They say politics is a dirty game. No, politics is not a dirty game. It's dirty people who do dirty politics. And so that kind of dirty politicking is what the discerning voters in Ningo Prampram eschewed and said, never again, we won't accept such pedestrian, evil politicking, because that's not what we want in Parliament. I mean, I have dared him several times.
Yeah.
You say, I am being funded or I am having support from the LGBTQ. Mention a name. It's in this country. Look, if he mentions a name of an LGBTQ person, me, Sam George, I will resign from Parliament. I would never run for any public office.
You wouldn't?
Because it's a lie.
Okay.
It's a lie that even the devil shouts the blood of Jesus at.
But
because it's so evil that even the devil himself will not think about it. But that's how desperately wicked the heart of man is. The Bible says it, that the heart of man is desperately wicked. And that's what you saw in Ningo Prampram. Wicked, evil lies. You know? But that's why I kept saying that it was a battle between light and darkness. Good and evil. And every time the light shines, the darkness cannot comprehend it. And that's what happened in Ningo Prampram.
And darkness in this case being Michael Kweti and his team?
Everybody who engages in dirty, evil politicking is darkness.
It's darkness, but you are light.
Well, I spoke the truths, faced the facts, and told the people what it is I could do and could not do. Not once did I go after him. And look, you see, the people who throw mud at people are the ones who are actually bathed in mud, who have a lot of filth and dirt. If I decided to go personal, I don't think but you see, for me, that's not what politics is about. And I'm not going to let people define my politics with their own standards. I'll set my standards. And so despite all the attacks, I stayed above the fray. I refused to go personal. I refused to get involved. I mean, this is somebody who is my family member, so I know him inside out.
He's your family member?
We are blood. Not like, oh, we are blood. First cousins.
I see.
Okay? But, I mean, when you know, we always have this, an elderly man in the family said something to me that, you know, he said in Dangme, he can azio chapi nenemena te bokwepe. Si nenemena hen no. That witchcraft is not only those who fly at night, but those who are envious of other people. Envy is witchcraft as well.
Was there an LGBT community that was working against you in that constituency?
Absolutely. It was unashamedly. They backed my candidate, my opponent.
You are saying they backed. He's not here to answer that, but in your case, you're saying that whatever he said about you was a lie. What you're saying about him is a lie too?
They didn't hide it. They didn't hide their disdain. They were on social media. They brought in their resources. They brought in money. They supported him. I mean, it is trite knowledge that Sam George is public enemy #1 for the LGBTQ community. But hey, guys, I'm coming after you with even more fervor and vigor. If you don't take a man down, if you know you can't take a man down, don't start a fight with him. Because now I'm coming after him.
Well, we hope that Michael will be able to respond to that. But let's talk about the day of the elections. it was charged. For some time, there was a halt in the elections because of, allegations about someone not being on the voters register and yet was in the queue to vote and all of that. I mean, what happened exactly?
Okay, so again, this is why yesterday at another program I said I called on the national executives of our party to establish discipline in our party. You know, when you have elders who fail to behave like elders, you have problems in the house. The elections were going on peacefully until E.T. Mensah came there.
Until he came there?
Yes.
How and why?
The confusion started after he came and left.
What did he do to contribute?
Because he came with a group of boys and they came and started agitation. They were the ones who attacked the police. Because you see, they had gone to get this group of 6 branches where elections had not happened. Elections had happened in 2. In those 2 branches, 8 executives had been elected instead of 9. The 8 said without the 9th, they would not sign the forms and then swear the oath. So if you are elected as a branch executive, but you've not sworn the oath of allegiance, you've not become a branch executive. You've been elected, but you've not been sworn into office. Okay? Now, that became a bone of contention. And so during the constituency conference, where we elected constituency executives sometime in September, those 6 branches, including 4 where there were no elections, and the 2 where there were elections, no contest about that. But the branch executives refused to swear the oath. They couldn't vote because if you didn't swear the oath, your name couldn't have been put on the register as a branch executive because to complete the process, you must sign and swear the oath. They failed to do that.
Even though the court had said that their name should be added?
At that time, wait. At that time, there was no court case. I want people to understand this matter once and for all. There was no court case. Then they petitioned the then regional chairman, Adekoka. Adekoka ruled on it and said, well, you have no case. And so, but the register has been done already. So if anything, after the elections, you'll be sworn in. But your name is not part of the register. So they didn't vote in the constituency conference. Those 6 branches. Then they petitioned national. The Ofusu-Ampofo-led national. It went to the appeals committee led by Alex Egbefia. Directives were given on it. Only those 2 branches, go and swear them in, but they won't be added to the register. They said they weren't comfortable with that. So they refused to come for swearing in. Then we had the new regional and national executives. They went again to petition national. After the petition national, the general secretary and new national chairman said, look, we've seen the Egbefia report, so we'll go along with that. Then they go behind national and come and petition Ashimo at the region. And Ashimo calls the matter, and I go there and say, Ashimo, you don't have the gravitas to sit on this matter. A matter that is before national, you as regional chairman have no locus to sit on it. He says, okay, fine, I didn't know it was at national. If it is there, let's go back there. We are waiting, then the next thing we see, they go to court, sue the general secretary, sue the regional chairman, and sue the constituency chairman. And when they go to court, they file a writ, that was just before our ward elections. They file a writ seeking an injunction on the ward elections. Specific relief sought from the court. Ward elections. The case was not heard until about 3 weeks ago. Then the judge says, go and swear the 2 branches, the 8, 16, swear them into office. And so that order is served on us and served on the party. So we write to the constituency writes to the general secretary of the party saying, we've cited this court order. Advise us on the way forward. The general secretary writes explicitly to us on the 9th of May, saying that comply with the court order, swear the 2 branches in, but for the purposes of the constituency, the parliamentary and presidential primaries, because there had been an earlier FEC decision that nobody should add or remove any name from the register that was used for the constituency conference. Swear them in to comply with the court order, but they cannot be added to the register for the purposes of this election. And they will not vote. Stated in black and white. Because you see, FEC had issued a directive as far back as February. Because they had noticed that in some other constituencies, people were replacing names. And so they said, no replacement. So even in Ningo Prampram, there are people who voted in the constituency conference who have died or who have left the constituency. And we have legally gone through the processes of replacement.
Okay.
They weren't allowed to vote in this election because their names they were not executives at the time we had a constituency conference.
Okay.
So that was 2 Fridays ago. Then last Friday, just before the election on Saturday, they go back to court and I hear the judge doesn't hear the case in open court and calls the case into his chamber and gives a directive that he's instructing that those 16 names should be added.
Yeah.
And I said, well, the judge, I don't know what the judge ate. Or I don't know what he drank.
But that's the court of law.
So what?
Shouldn't the authority supersede that effect?
Absolutely not. The judge has no power to give directives in a matter that were not brought before him. The case before the judge, and I would bring a petition to the Chief Justice against that judge. Because he must be investigated for his conduct. Because a case is brought to you seeking an injunction on ward elections. And then you go in chamber to issue directives and a court order that people should be added to a register for parliament. Who brought the parliamentary primaries before you? Okay. Who told you judges have the power to extend their judgments beyond what is before them? And so I said, if he thinks he has those powers, he should cite everybody for contempt. But those people will not vote, and they did not vote.
And that's why you insisted on the day that they were not
Absolutely, and said they will not vote.
You will not be cited for contempt?
If the judge thinks he's in the right, he should cite me for contempt and let's see. But I am saying that I would bring a petition against him to the Judicial Service and to the Chief Justice to investigate his conduct in this matter. You see, judges must bear in mind that we have a lot of respect for them, but they must be arbiters of law and not agents of confusion. His actions led to the chaos in Ningo Prampram. Because if I bring a case before you seeking an injunction on the ward election, that injunction rate has not been amended to include a parliamentary primaries. On what basis are you giving orders relative to a matter that is not before you? What is the judge's interest?
How does this affect your relationship between yourself and some of these party delegates in your constituency? Are you not worried about it, that you'll need their support moving forward in the 2024 elections?
I am confident that, you see, I'm confident when you look at the margin of victory and what has been stated on the pink sheet, it tells me that the overwhelming majority of the people, the delegates and branch executives, are confident and focused on winning power. And Bella, the point is this. The fact that I keep saying this, that numbers, people say politics is a numbers game. No, it's not a numbers game.
What is it?
Politics is a good numbers game.
Okay.
They are bad numbers.
Like the 7 difference between you?
No. Like you can have people who are supporting you, but that support is counterproductive.
Okay.
You can ask Kwabena before, he'll tell you.
You
he
had
numbers.
You had described his decision.
But those numbers ended up being counterproductive. You understand me? John Mahama has numbers, good numbers. So for me, it's about having good numbers.
Okay.
And I've stated, I am open to work with everybody who is committed to working with the NDC, coming to work with us with a clean heart. And because you see, Bella, in 2016, I can't feel me die. In 2015, after I won the primaries,
yeah.
When we go around with them and we go and campaign and we go home to sleep, then they go back and go and do no 9, no 10, avo skirt and blouse. Yes. And because they were with us, they knew the places we went to. They knew the message we took to places.
Yeah.
And they knew how to work with the NPP against us in 2010. No, if you've been bitten by a snake, when you see an earthworm, you are cautious.
But you should unify your party then?
The party is solidly unified.
In your constituency?
Absolutely unified.
Okay.
Anybody who tells you that there is no unity is somebody who doesn't want to work for the NDC.
I see.
When you go to elections, one person will win or one person will lose. After the person has won, and he says everybody else is welcome on board. You want me to come to your house to come and beg you to come and work for the NDC? Why? When the NDC comes to power and you are making demands of people in government, would we beg you before we give it to you? If you're a party person, you come on board and work with the party.
Okay.
Look, I've opened my doors to everybody who wants to work. But I've said I'm not going to beg anybody to come and work for the NDC. Because anybody who truly loves the NDC, Bella,
would work for the NDC.
If you truly love the NDC, you will work for the NDC's victory. You will not sit back and say unless they come and beg you. Anybody who says they have to come and beg him or her before you work for the NDC's victory in 2024. Remember what I told you about witchcraft?
Oh, you're going back to that. But how did you feel about, and you said it, that it was good riddance that Dr. Kwabena Dufo had pulled out of the presidential primaries. Were those not sort of harsh words to say to someone, a key member of the NDC.
Why is it that?
I'm just
some of you
asking
in
a
the
question.
Media, when people tell you the truth, you see, that's the problem of our country. Oh. When someone is frank and forthright and blunt with the truth, then we paint the person as being.
Who is painting who? It's just a question.
Caustic.
Did you think those were harsh words to say about a key member of the party at the time when he had pulled out?
Wasn't it good riddance to bad rubbish? Wasn't it a waste of all of us our time?
It was.
Where did it take us to? Did I not state with Komla Kluche a week before that he was going to be competing with spoiled ballots? Was I not proven right? I mean, look, as a and that's why I said our party must instill discipline. This whole issue of, oh, and this person is this and this person is that, or, look, it is what is breeding the lack of discipline in the party. We must have discipline in our party. If Sam George does the wrong thing, discipline him. If John Mahama does the wrong thing, discipline him. Nobody is bigger than the party.
But the former president is calling on them to also come together as a party so that the NDC can win election 2024.
Oh, but I have not said they shouldn't come. Have I said they shouldn't come?
I'm just asking you
I've
what
said
you
we'll
make
come
of that.
and beg you. We've invited you, come.
Okay.
If you're a party person, you come on board. Bella, let me ask you a question. When you came to TV3, when you joined Media General, was your first role hosting the morning show?
No. Well, it was the morning show, but not...
Yes, but not
politics.
Not politics.
Yeah.
You were doing other things. Okay. So, take, for example, the perfect example, Johnny Hughes. Johnny was the TV3 morning show. Then, because MPP gave people pressure, you move into
MPP didn't give anybody pressure.
MPP
didn't give any pressure. That's not true.
People moved him away from TV.
He was moved to radio to show up the numbers on radio as well.
Fantastic
which
excuse.
is working, clearly.
Oh, it's good.
It was a business strategy.
We here. Business strategy, political pressure, we here. You move Johnny. So imagine Johnny says that because they've taken him off TV and he used to have 2-3 hours on TV and now he has only 15 minutes or 10 minutes for Johnny's Bite. That is streamed on TV. Because of that, he will come to TV at 8 radio at 8 a.m. He won't come. Me TV3 would TV3 countenance that? Would Media General countenance that?
No, nobody would.
You won't?
Nobody would.
So why should we countenance people who want to become spoilers because they didn't get what they wanted? If you are a politician, you must understand that politics is about the decision of the majority. If you are in the minority, you go with the decision of the majority. And so if you had won, the person you were contesting against, his supporters, would you have expected them to also sit back at home and not come? And that's why I'm saying that anybody who truly loves the NDC will never sit back and say, because I didn't get this. You think it's everything I want in the NDC I've gotten?
It's not everything you want that you've gotten.
Bella.
Okay, what do you want exactly that you haven't gotten? Let's start getting into that. What are some of the things you want that you haven't gotten? But you're an incumbent and you retained your position to represent the NDC. About 17 of your fellow MPs, about 17 of them, yes, unfortunately, could not retain their title to represent the NDC in the 2024 elections. How does this impact their work in Parliament, knowing that they have just about a year and a half to go? They could be compromised, maybe. Do you think along those lines?
No. I want to believe that none of the members who have lost their primaries will compromise themselves. I mean, Bella, it comes to the point I'm making. If you are a sitting member of Parliament today in Parliament on the ticket of the NDC, and you've gone back for re-election, and the same NDC that gave you the opportunity, because you're not there as an independent candidate, the same NDC that gave you an opportunity has said to you, let someone else come in. Then you come and pour sand in our gari in Parliament. But I trust the integrity and honor and dignity of the young, of my colleagues. And I believe that President Mahama would... I hear he's indicated he wanted to meet those who have lost.
Yes.
I mean, that's a fantastic sign of good leadership. He's going to meet with them and explore how to keep them on board. But we've seen this happen before in the 7th Parliament. In fact, Ras Mubarak, when he lost his primaries, became actually more active on the floor of the House. Because, you see, you have 1.5 years to leave a lasting legacy. Leave your legacy, write your name. So even if you were not very vocal, this is your best opportunity to leave a legacy in there. But you see, for me, Bella, yesterday President Mahama gave his acceptance speech.
Yes.
And some of the things that he spoke about there are, for me, what the focus of the media and what our politics should be about. Okay? Because yesterday when he spoke, politics is about speaking to the hearts and minds of the people. He spoke to the minds of the people. When we start the campaign and he begins to run around, he will speak to the hearts of people as well. But the first thing you need to speak to, look, Mene, I may love you and like you and all of that, but Charlie, I'm thinking bottom line. Can I pay for the food?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. If it was, let me, and just for the example.
You're citing me again.
I'm going to cite you again. If I'm using you as an example, okay, Charlie, if I want run Bella, I go fit buy in shoes, Louboutins. I go fit buy Brazilian hair. Can you share?
You advise yourself.
I advise myself. So everybody thinks with their head first before following their heart.
Okay.
And when you think as a voter today, if you're a young person, as a voter today, your major thing is this government of kleptocrats promised you jobs and have failed to deliver it. Yesterday in his acceptance speech, President Mahama spoke about jobs for the young people.
Yes, he did.
And a plan to execute jobs for the young people, speaking to their heads, their minds, telling them what he will do. If you are someone whose funds were locked up in the financial sector cleanup and you've not received your money, President Mahama has pledged that in 1 year, we will pay back all of those funds, speaking to the minds of people. Because don't forget, some of these people are dead.
Yeah.
Some of them today have developed conditions, medical conditions, can't buy medication. President Mahama is speaking to it. If you are a media person, and you see, like the way you people are afraid sometimes, even they've sent common tilapia, cartoonist who is a fish.
What they sent him away?
Oh, but how many times haven't they sent from the office of the president to come and shake
They
him
have?
because of tilapia?
I'm not aware of that.
Oh, we know everything that goes on.
I'm not aware of that. I don't think that's true.
When they've gotten angry, Flagstaff House, because tilapia did cartoon of Baumia, we know all of those things. Look, even a cartoon, this government is so insensitive and intolerant of cartoons. President Mahama has promised media persons that you would not have to be afraid, like Wisdom Aditi.
Can we trust these promises? That's the concern.
But you have seen us before.
Okay.
Did Manasseh Azuri, was he not extremely critical of President Mahama? President Mahama was there to launch his book. President Mahama was accommodating of him. Did Ahmed Twale die under the NDC or under this MPP government? Well, they failed to investigate his murder 5 years on. We've committed that we will investigate it. You understand me? President Mahama speaks to the fact that all the banks that had their licenses revoked, he would look into it and restore those licenses. But while
he's talking about all those things, is there a deliberate attempt to yank some key members of the NDC out of the party? Case study is Honorable Mutaka Mubarak of Asawase. I mean, he says that if you look at the way he was taken out of his position as one of the minority leaders in parliament, it clearly showed that there was a ploy to get him out of his constituency. Is that true?
Well, I don't think that there is a ploy to take anybody out. Individuals may have their scores to settle. But me, in my constituency, my regional chairman came there throwing his weight. He had his personal interest, but his personal interest didn't prevail. But would that make me say that because Ashimo came to misbehave, for want of a better word, in Ningo Prampram, or tried to misbehave, I would say that the NDC is against me or the NDC hates me? No. Because those who love me are way more and appreciate me and stood by me are way more than those who had that particular interest. So I would not discount the fact that there may be individuals who may have issues with Muntaka and may have thought that this was a way to settle that score. But I believe that Muntaka also has a lot of love, and that is why he won with the margin that he won with. Because you see, I keep saying that individuals may have issues with you, but the truth of the fact is the base of our party appreciate and know those who work for the party. And that is the points they made in this election. So when you ask me about the margin of victory in Ningo Prampram, it's not because of Sam Giorgio. It's because the base in Ningo Prampram said, irrespective of whatever juicy offers were thrown at them, irrespective of the wicked lies that were told, their focus was on who they believe would fight for the NDC in the next 1.5 years and continue when the NDC comes to be a strong bastion to bring John Mahama into power. It's the same reason why John Mahama had almost 99% of the votes across the country, despite some of the wicked, evil lies that were told by the opposition candidates against him. Because the people of the NDC, the base of the NDC, know that whatever you say, we'll call it Tomoko here.
Okay.
It doesn't enter our ear. See, sometimes people say enter this ear and come out this ear. When he enters this ear and come out this ear, there's possible of remnants of particles remaining in the head.
Okay.
Our ears have cover. Okay. So we do this, and we will listen to you.
Since '96, the NDC has won the the elections in Ningo Prampram.
92.
Since '92, okay. Thank you for that correction. But since '92 up until now,
Bibi
sure?
Cabo 92 to 96, E.T. Mensah 96 to 2016. No, to 2012.
Until you took over.
So I took over. Some
and you're
from
sure that you are retaining
till the Lord says.
Till the Lord says.
Till the Lord says my time is up.
Okay.
Because it's God who asked me to, who dictates for me.
So this will be the last time you're running?
Oh, well, I have a general election. So let me finish the general. But this general election, we're getting 100,000 votes.
Yes, you said that. 100,000. Yes. You're sure of it?
The last election, we got 50,000.
Yes, you did.
We moved from 26,000 to 50,000. So we will do Operation Double.
So you're doubling it.
But last one, we doubled. So this one to 50,000.
Final words to your people in Ningo Prampram.
Nyame. Mauna Jonye. Swamine Jekpo Kehami. Delegates. Mambing. Mancheme. So mnenye jepo kahanye bi Sam George hone beno ma ope na manyene ma wo mi hanye se kambe na ide nyo ikanye kita ka malwaye na machunio na magdwa wa ma na ma wo wa ma ehe no ke ya ne ma one jonye epie wo klawaye nyachum.
We have to go, but just a quick one. Please forgive me, but the issue of votes buying, and that came up strongly during the NDC primaries. What do you say of that, especially with one of the delegates in Ejura Dumasi who
anybody who engages in that kind of open, ostentatious vote buying like the lady should be invited by the security services and investigated.
The OSP has invited.
Yes, because I mean, it is despicable, and as a party, we denounce such behavior.
Okay.
Our flag bearer, John Mahama, held a press engagement at the UPSA on political financing and spoke about the need for us to have decent politicking, and vote buying is the bane of our politics. So anybody who's engaged in the blatant thing, throwing money, why? Are you Lil Wayne?
But the former president was giving out transportation, 40 cities were told.
But if you're inviting people
is that not vote buying too?
That's transportation.
Okay.
In Ningo Prampram, from if we're coming from Panchendo to come and vote in New Ningo and go back, the 40 cities won't even be enough. So maybe we'll have to talk to President
Mama. So that's transportation. That's different from spraying cash and allegations of giving cars and all that.
Cars?
Allegations. These are allegations, by the way.
Okay, then I won't respond to allegations. Because if
okay, on that note, thank you so much. Niboja Anugo.
Me?
What did you give?
Transportation.
You paid for transport. How much were you given? We want to know. 40 Ghana cedis? 50 Ghana? 100 Ghana?
Chano, call 5,000.
Thank you so much for joining us. Honorable Sam George, he's the MP for Ningo Prampram and has just retained his title to represent the NDC come December 2024. Thank you for joining us. Well, we have Mr. Drew joining us this morning, so don't go anywhere. We need to see you dancing to Mr. Drew. So Sam George is staying with us.
Unless Giovanni
We're dancing with Mr. Drew. Okay, Giovanni, please join us this morning so we dance. We'll be right back. Thank you. Thank you.